All right, Joel Gausten here from joelgausten.com. Let me preface this interview by saying, one of the main reasons why I decided to do this YouTube channel is connect with old friends who I don't get much of a chance to talk to face, even if it is over a computer screen. So with that said, I've been looking forward to this one for a while. It's my pleasure to welcome a good buddy of mine from the great state of Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, oil drum roll, what have you, Jesse Hunt.
Hey!
How you doing, brother?
Doing great, my friend. Nice to talk and see you.
Yeah, man. I was thinking earlier, I think the last time I saw you, like actually saw you in person, was about 5 years ago. I was out in Chicago to record with Reedy and Worm.
Yep,
And you came by the studio and we put on Max Headroom masks and
totally.
acted like responsible, mature adults as usual.
Somewhat.
Right on. So good to see you. Good to see you. There's a ton of stuff going on with you in the next few weeks that we'll get into a little later. Um, but I wanted to kind of bring you on to talk about your history in music, which is pretty damn extensive. Uh, you and I were talking about some of the bands you've been a part of, and the list is pretty long. So we may not get to it all, but we'll try our best.
Okay.
But for those people watching who don't know Jesse, Jesse's a drummer and a percussionist. And when I say percussionist, I mean percussionist, and we'll get into some of that as well. Jesse and I are bandmates. We first met in 2016 via a quaint little group of unknown musicians out in Chicago called Pigface.
Oh, yeah.
And we've been buddies ever since. So there's, like I said, there's a lot to dive into. So I'll kind of talk less and have you talk more, Jesse. So kind of bringing it up to the best starting point, which would be the very beginning. Um, how long has playing music been a part of your life, and how did that really come to be in the beginning?
I'm pushing about 20 years now because I started fairly young. Um, Originally being a skateboarder, type competing skateboarder. Eventually, after you break so many bones and everything, you have to find a different release. So I started picking up music after listening to tons of stuff at skate parks, and you have random friends that were always just into different music, and I got a lot of that from skate parks. But yeah, definitely in that time and everything, because skateboarding was like completely done at that point. And the first skate parks I ever went to, I was like 7 or 8, and every single place would always be like, absolutely not, no children, no. And of course, I would get that thing of like, oh, he can do it. He knows what he's doing and stuff. So I did like so many years of skateboarding before I ever even got into music or picked up anything. Because like my dad was a musician, 100%. He could do anything where it would just be picking it up by ear, which I always thought was kind of awesome to listen to a brand new song and play it on a keyboard then, or even better yet, just violin. But yeah, no, the skateboarding end of everything, because we used to go to concerts constantly because of you listen to the stuff in the skate park or out and about, and then you want to go see them. Well, I started competing in skateboarding in, I want to say, 98, I think, is when I started competing. But after years and years and years of kept falling, retrying stuff and breaking stuff and tearing stuff and having so many different surgeries on top of that, at about the age of, I think it was like 15 or 16 at this point, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like it hurts to wake up and I'm only this age. So I don't know, I kind of bounced around on some different things I could possibly do instead of always just skateboarding. So movies, all that kind of stuff, have music galore, just all sorts of different music of all genres. Well, I think at an around 2000, I picked up a video from 1990, which was a skateboard video you could get out of like a packed sun in the malls and stuff, if you remember those. Um, and it had like tons of good music on it, from punk to metal to indie, and then they had some industrial stuff in it. And I really seemed to like pick that up when I was that young. Like I really like this band, like didn't really know who they were or anything. And after that many years of having that video and stuff, I actually figured out who that band was. And I ended up starting a group with that guy that all the way 20 some years ago. I love this stuff. It got me into where I'm at today. I do a project with him now in my group, Hent Hawk, between Michael Hawk and Trevor Henthorn, also known as Shrevo. And
Right.
that was like a music video, it was like a 40-minute music video, like a live performance type thing that we did. Really experimental, tons of power tools, random stuff.
Now, when did you actually go from, just being a listener of music to being a musician? And has it always been drums for you?
It's always been drums for me. Um, my mom picked me up a drum kit. It was it was like 96, 1996 or 7. And she got it for me, and everything that I would ever you know, like to play or whatever. We lived in a small town called Freeport, Illinois, and your neighbors were like that far from each house. So the drum set was kind of a hard thing to have, like the acoustic, because it was like one of those old Pearl complete see through, like the iced over drums. And after this many years of remembering having that originally, boy, I wish I still had that one.
So how long was it before you hit the ground running, actually playing in the first in this long series of bands you've been in since?
I think the very first show that I did was in 2004 or 5, 2005, I think. And that was with a band called Digital Sacrilege. And that's out of like Medford, New Jersey, Morristown. Uh, all those guys we all went to like separate high schools because I was still in high school. And end up going pick up one kid from school after me and then meet up at the other friend's house and started doing that. And that was kind of like one of those like terror EDM type things. So, there wasn't a whole lot to it. A lot of, back and forth, four on the floor, crunchy drums towards it. But no, that was my start though. And we played, I think the very first show I ever played was in Allentown, Pennsylvania, at a place called the Sterling Ballroom, I think, or Sterling Hotel,
Hmm.
which is something that was down the street from another big venue called the Croc
Right,
in
I know the
Boston.
Croc, yeah.
So that was just right down the street.
So obviously we should mention that you did live in Jersey for a while.
Yep.
Oddly enough, you were out in Jersey around the same time I made my return for a couple of years to Jersey because I was in LA
Right.
for a bit and then I came back to Jersey.
Yeah.
before coming up here to New Hampshire. So, what kind of led you to come out to Jersey for a bit?
It was actually still the skateboarding stuff. My mom got a general manager position for she was like the first lady to ever run a band skate park
Hmm.
and be on the band's team. So like my mom had to move from well we all did my family moved from Freeport, Illinois in 2001, I think, to Palmyra, New Jersey is where I very first like landed. We stayed there for about a year, and then we moved to Medford, New Jersey, and I did like my high school years there, and just random stuff, for those like 4 or 5 years living there. But then like directly after Jersey, I skipped over the bridge and ended up in old South Philadelphia for a good amount of time.
Hmm. So, when did you make your way back to where it all started out in Illinois?
Um, we were kind of just going through a lot of different stuff because I was having a lot of really bad health problems. And once we started figuring out a little more about what that was, I have a stomach illness called cyclic vomiting syndrome. And once we started figuring out what that was, we actually heard that there were specialists back in UW Hospital in Wisconsin, and even places here right in now my hometown, Rockford, Illinois. There's specialists that actually pay more attention to that. So to come back to a place where they actually knew what I was actually trying to explain to them was a very big treat. But on top of that, too, there were many times while I still lived on the East Coast where we would kind of always just be like, yeah, I think we're going to go back. I think we're going to just move back. And it took about 18 years, but yeah, living back home is wonderful and opened up a lot more doors for me again because as many of the bands that I join or take some kind of part in or whatever, I did that in um, New Jersey and Philadelphia and all that, and now I've come here to try and do the same thing, and I was very happy because that was the first. I think the first thing was that Pigface show, where it's like
Hmm.
my first show back doing stuff, and so pretty fun. What a show to come back with.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into all that, your volume's dropping a little bit. Maybe if you
Okay,
came a little closer, that would probably help a little bit. We
okay,
work it out as we go along on this YouTube channel.
that's okay. Yeah, and I know you can. I know you can doll up everything. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if you saw the interview I did with Steve Silver, but um, spoiler alert, Steve
yeah,
talked a lot during that video.
sure.
And at one point, I'm loving what he's saying, but I'm like, I really got to use the John, you know? So I don't tinker too much with these videos. So I'm like, in the video, Steve, I gotta step out for a minute, just cover me. And I go off and Steve kind of improvises and I come back and then he's
Right.
got to leave the room for something and I start
It
ad-libbing.
becomes it becomes like in Wayne's World too. He's just okay.
So
Cool.
we're loose here. We're family anyway, so I ain't worried. But yeah, Pigface, that's how you and I first met.
Yeah,
Um, and forgive my memory, did you do the Reggie show or just the House of Blues for the
I was there for Reggie's, but with how many people were on stage, first thing I was talking with Martin and Bob Dog because they were like the two first people I ran into, and I'm coming in with 3 oil cans strapped to this harness, and I'm like, like I know Reggie's is a really nice venue, it's big, all this, not that big though. So for that one, I actually hung out upstairs in the balcony while everybody was going off. And we decided to just like, all right, maybe we'll just kind of like have this harness type contraption thing come out on total surprise then.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it went over well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So how did the whole connection with you and Pigface happen? How did you get sucked into the vortex?
My we used to go to shows all the time back on the East Coast when Martin would do the big face shows and everything, and start get to know him a little more. And my mom was doing a little more in the scene where she was promoting and working for a couple different people here and there. So we just always go to a lot of shows. And Martin, I think the last one that was kind of a hit because I was leaving a show and I said, I'm coming to see you at your speaking at this place called Digital Ferret that was right off of South Street in Philadelphia. And after that, the way with Martin, I think that I ever got really like talking with him and knowing was when I was still in Philadelphia. I was in a band called 62 Latitude,
Right.
and we sent out one of those care packages from our place over to Invisible, and it was the dummy head with like the big bolt through it, but it had like our symbols in glow in the dark in the eyes. And on the back of the shirt, it was like, something funny like 62 Latitude is not found on Invisible record yet. And, like I think some of that kind of stuff, like, oh, that's cute or whatever, clever. Um, but no, I mean, like once we got back into Chicago area and Illinois land. When I heard about the Pig Face show, I actually hit him up. I just out of the blue was like, "Hey, I got these things, like I got this big contraption of like war drums or whatnot," and ended up showing him it, and sent him a little video on it and everything, and ended up enjoying it enough to let me come and be a part of the gang.
Absolutely. Tell me a bit about the history of the contraption, what that is and how you sort of develop that into the beast that it is.
Yeah. It's the first one was actually because I didn't like in the beginning of like playing shows and stuff. Maybe about 6, 7 years later, I'm picking up stuff here and there, and I was in a group called Mr. Manic, and kind of like a fun, dancey, outgoing kind of music, but like very electronic and still really heavy. But it had like Marlon Jackson and like African Bambaataa vibes to it, though. Like some real old school funky stuff put into the electronic scene then. And we always had weird stuff going on. We had like 55-gallon oil drums on stage for this type of band too, with pure electronic stuff. And every single show that we played, it was a three-piece band. It was Matt Kissel, uh, Kyle McKay, and myself. And Kyle was Mr. Manic. And so we were always looking for all these different things. Like, well, how can we boost the drums up or make the keyboard stand this way? Just anything to make the show a little bit different each time. Well, I had like a full electronic kit with like the whole stand and everything, and I was like, man, I wonder if we could do this to make it like movable, like I can move around with a drum set. And so we took an SPDS, like a little 9 pad thing, and took the whole entire stand apart because it was like those thick, and I'm talking about those thick pipes, you know. Um, and I finagled it to like be like a huge robot on, and it had the SPD one in right in the front of it, and I only got to use it one time, but it was pretty fun because that's when I was like, wow, I didn't know you could like be a drummer and leave stage, that kind of situation. And but the first one was like it was like going to the hardware store and just getting huge PVC pipes and fitters. And I think I took some like what are those like pool noodles, like the foam noodles, and I cut some spots so I could have some kind of something on my shoulders and everything. But no, that was actually the very first thing that I ever did the harness with.
Wow.
Pretty neat.
Oh, uh, it definitely made an impact at Pigface 25 because the trick to being in that band is because there are so many people on stage. I mean, a small version of the band is 12 people, right?
Right.
And there were like 30 plus that evening at the House of Blues. And everybody, of course, is bringing their A game, right? And you've got some competition on stage, man. You got fucking Esh in all his bald Germanness. You
Yep.
know, Levi, one of the greatest bass players on the planet, and one of the coolest looking bass players on the planet. Lacey, Curse, it goes on and on.
It goes on and on.
So the trick is, how do you kind of carve your niche and be memorable, you know? And you
Right.
certainly did that. You
That's right.
When you came on, the show took to me like a totally different vibe. It spruced up the drama. It definitely added even more industrial to the mix.
Nice.
It, and that to me was when the show went from really good to fucking unforgettable. Was when you came on and stayed, pretty much the rest of the gig. I mean, that was really when things like achieve liftoff in that set for sure.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but was that the show where you met a lot of the characters who you later ended up collaborating with? Or, let's say, for example,
Yeah.
Reedy and the Worm guys. Did that come from that, or did you know those guys prior to that show?
I knew them prior to the show because we were actually doing this thing called the Forgotten Past. It was about a bunch of different older groups that kind of came back together and everything. So I had people from like Philadelphia flying in to Chicago and people from like Nashville flying in to be a part of the 62 group. And that's actually when I actually we got Roger Ebner for our whole entire set for 62 for that night. And that was pretty much the situation where like I got to actually make friends instead of just like oh collaborate or so something real fast. I actually got to like meet people and like get to know them and learn them and like them learn me and how we all adapt and um getting Ebner though was pretty awesome. I mean, because he's such a sweet and awesome guy as always. Hi Roger, and I miss you. But no, we all met from there, but then I started getting like phone calls from people I would have never even thought were maybe at the show. Or so like that was with Sean Payne got a hold of me for it wasn't for Cyanotic right off the bat. It was actually for a percussionist for the group Conformco. And of course I'm like, yeah, sure, man, I'll do it. They're like, can you dress up as like, do you mind dressing up in anything? And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. What do you got? What do you think? They're like, can you come out as RoboCop? And I'm like, oh God, yeah. Like this is gonna be fun. So you got like Jim Marcus up there and Sean and all the guys and all of a sudden I come running like walking out like robotic and I'm holding beers and I haven't drinking. I quit drinking about a decade ago and I'm holding beers and I'm like passing them along as I'm going, and then we finally get to like I get to where I'm playing drums, and then it took off. it was a really fun night too, because that was I think that was with like a TKK Lords of Acid kind of thing that
Hmm.
we did. Opening for them. That was pretty fun.
So this was prior to the Pigface thing.
Nope. After the first Pigface,
Oh,
after the
okay.
first show, the shows that we did, I got, I was getting it from a lot of people. I mean, you got to remember that Facebook and all the things were just like pig face for days, and then I'd see like a cat or something, and then it would go right back to pig face. So I mean, like a lot of the cool stuff of like doing the pig face show led me into so many different. I would have never have joined or been a part or done as many things back here in the Midwest if I wouldn't have just done the thing that I did of get on the phone, talk to them a little bit, and just be honest and be like, I think this could work, and I feel like it did. I think everybody had fun and still does have fun. I still try and use the drum harness too for shows that I'm still playing, like the KMFDM one. I think I'm going to be using that as maybe the intro. A lot of toms on our intros and stuff, so
Hmm.
tom rolls.
Well, since you mentioned it, let's dive into that for a minute. You're currently playing in Cyanotic, and Cyanotic is, and I was so thrilled when I saw this announcement come through. Cyanotic is touring with KMFDM within a couple weeks' time as part of KMFDM's 40th anniversary tour.
That is correct.
And that's a huge tour. Great opportunity, of course, for you and everyone else in Cyanotic. And you, if I understand correctly, you do have a bit of history with KMFDM, right?
Yeah, my mom and I used to do some like filming, and she did some like promotion and filming type deals with them over the years, and yeah, so it's gonna be nice. I can't believe it's three people from when we were working with them and everything. That and I don't think I've seen the new guitar player for him. I've seen some like videos online, but haven't seen anything live. So I'm really interested in seeing how that's gonna work out.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm gonna try like hell to get to your Boston date. Initially, I was all clear, and then something came up. I'm trying to get out of
Oh,
it so I can go to Boston. Um, but I haven't seen KMFDM since about 2002 when Bill Rieflin was playing bass for them.
yep.
So it's been
Yep.
a minute, and that new KMFDM album is amazing. I think it's the best one
Actually
we've
good.
done
Yeah.
in years.
Oh, nice, nice. I heard one or two of the tracks. Nowadays I share a little bit of my time with my daughter as well. So, I get to hear some tracks here and there. I'm loving the fact that she actually enjoys the style of music, and she's becoming a drummer already at 4, so I'm very excited with that. But yeah, we listened to one song, and I think that my daughter really enjoyed it. It was Lucia singing. I can't remember which song it is though, but she, in the back seat of the car, bobbing her head with her little pink drumstick she has on the back of the headboard. I'm like, okay, this is fun. See.
Well, it's lovely to hear that. And it was funny for me because, when 2019 rolled into 2020 and then the world was turned upside down,
Yeah.
I was present online, but there were so many other factors happening to all of our lives at that point that things got missed. Like I remember one day I'm looking at pictures of you online and I'm like, Jesse had a kid? When when the world did that happen? So it's wonderful that she's doing well, and
Yeah.
um it's amazing that you've got a 4-year-old. How did the time go that far? It's
I'm still wondering where all that time goes because it felt like yesterday. Well, the Pigface show felt like yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, and you look back now, it's like, wow, that first one that we held, like the first one I did and everything, that wasn't like yesterday. Yeah,
it was almost a decade ago. I mean, it would be 8 years this November.
yeah,
And then you came back for 2019, right?
I did. I did Minneapolis and the Chicago show.
Yeah,
I was
excellent.
going, we were going to, I think it was, uh, I was planned to be there for the Philadelphia show, but I don't know what happened with it. It got like double booked and they ended up in like Rochester, New York instead. Thank God, because nothing like just getting canceled.
Right.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's because Tool was playing Philadelphia that night. That's the reason why. And totally understandable. I mean, but we still got Danny Carey at the end. It's cool. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Tool complicated things at one point, but the drummer's in our band now, so it's okay.
Yeah.
It all works out. It's fine. Yeah, I wish I would have seen you on that tour. I was only able to do New York in
I saw the pics and I was enjoying every second of it. I was so happy to see the few people that wouldn't have been on that part of it, like getting to see you up there and everything. I'm like, yes, like good. We're everybody's still in motion. Awesome.
Yeah, everybody's still upright and and for the most part, we all still are from 2016 onwards, which is a blessing, and um, the great thing about that whole experience, look, it's fulfilling musically, of course, but my greatest takeaway from that is the social aspect.
Sure.
And when I had Reedy on here, I was talking about the Chicago mentality, where to me it seems like you meet somebody in Chicago, you get along very well instantly, and about 20 minutes into the conversation, one of you says, most likely the Chicago or Illinois person, will say, "You're cool, let's do a record together."
Sounds right.
And that's totally how it happens. Totally how it happens. Uh,
100%.
and the one guy who I think has really taken that philosophy and moved mountains with it since that time is our buddy Roger Ebner, who you mentioned earlier. I know you and Roger have worked extensively since 2016. I know you have a project, Ebner Hunt, that was doing some shows. Um, Roger's a very special, wonderful human being with an immense musical vocabulary. How'd you say working with him has most impacted you um, musically, not just in what you've done with him, but how you approach your other material now, having had the experience with him?
The thing about working with Roger is I think it's like the same thing as like how I can get with I don't care what kind of genre or group or what you are or what it is, means or sounds like. If it grooves and I can help have fun making that groove, that's the best. And that's the best when you find other people that are like that, especially because of Roger. Roger, I mean, Roger is probably the only group between the Ebner Hunt uh, thing that we did. Roger's style of that, like, it's a whole mixture of a lot of cool things: electronic, smooth jazz. Um, it's so melodic sounding too, between just an electronic drummer, sit down kit, electronic drummer, and a guy with some really amazing sounding horns and electronic, wind flutes and all these different things. You don't usually like see that at the old industrial crowd and you know what I mean? Like, and I could feel like that we could have done that at any kind of an industrial setting and it still would have taken a really good toll because there was so much in that that was like I had like metalhead. Like I'm talking about like, and I even have a little bit of long hair now. I'm talking about the long haired metalheads that were like, man, that sounded amazing. And I'm like, this is just me and my buddy doing this, you know. They're like, no way, you know, like we actually got a lot of different like offers for and these bands were like there's like this like pop punkish, no, it's like more like a punkish band called Black Cat Manor, and they begged us. They were like, "I don't care what you sound like or anything. Please come and play a show with us anywhere. We don't." And I was like, "That you know what that's really saying something about uh, an individual like Roger. That people of all these calibers see what he is, and that's a very talented and very kind-hearted person."
Yeah, absolutely. He's my he's kind of become my life coach in a lot of ways, oddly enough, you know?
My spirit animal.
Yes. You know, Roger's the kind of cat you call up on the phone and say, "Look, I got something going on. I'm not really sure what to do. What do you think?"
Right.
You know, and you'll walk away from that conversation with much more clarity than perhaps you could have had on your own.
Oh, totally.
So, much love to that guy who I know will be watching this. So, hello, sir.
Hi, buddy.
And staying with that topic for a minute, I do want to mention, without giving the store away right now, giving all the details out, but Roger, you, myself,
Mhm.
a bunch of other people we may or may not have played with at the House of Blues many years ago, have a project that we're very close to finishing. Um, and you and I are two of four drummers on that particular track.
Yeah.
The other two being Martin King, of course, our Pigface bandmate, and Ted Parsons from Prong and Swans and
Oh my gosh.
Fetus, and
Yes.
right, yeah, right. So that's almost coming out. So I want to mention that probably by the summertime there'll be a more formal announcement, and we'll let everybody know what's been going on and where they can hear the stuff. But um, when we were talking, getting ready to do this, you sent me a list, man, of your various projects and things you've been involved in over the years. We may not get to it all, but I'm looking at the list now, and there are a couple um, I definitely want to get into. Is there anything here that we can't talk about yet? Because I saw there's a couple that maybe haven't been announced yet.
Yeah, there's one thing I'm working on with an individual and I think that's gonna have more to come a little bit after we get back from the KMFDM tour.
Okay. Um, would that be the one fronted by a guy who may have very long dreads, um, whose name may begin with the letter J?
Oh, that we can talk all about that,
All
baby.
right, let's talk
We're
about Jimmy Marcus and Go Fight.
gonna play some drums. Excited about that too, because that's kind of like that same feeling of the one band we were talking about from New Jersey, the Mr. Manic band. That's what I get from Go Fight and the Die Warzel and Jim's whole entire. It's what I need. It's kind of what I need in my life right now. The cheer and the good stuff, the fun party music.
That's great. And Jim can write a song, man.
Oh, totally.
I mean, and produce a song. I mean, his records always sound great.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, when we first got together and talked, and I came over to the studio and sat down with him for a little bit, and he was like, yeah, just sometimes we might just grab a couple of these little random odds and ends things and have like a little jam powwow where we're recording it. And I used to get so many good recordings just from having jam powwow sessions with people over the years that you start to hear those little things, and you're like, hey, that's something I'm really looking forward to and want to do. So yeah, man, let's definitely do this. And his son, Mission, he is going to be playing bass, and oh my gosh, what a good kid. I love the dude. Good boy.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to hearing that. I think it's going to be a great collaboration there moving forward.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Then there's a show that's coming up. I think it's April after the KMFDM tour, where that's the first debut show I'm gonna do with them. That's at X-Ray Lounge in Wisconsin, I think is where it's gonna be. So
Hmm.
yeah, we'll see some videos of it, I'm sure.
That's great, man. That's great. Now the KMFDM tour, is this the first time you've toured this extensively coming up? Or have you done
Oh no, we did like the Pig tour, and uh
okay, yeah, yeah.
we've done a couple different things with Cyanotic.
Hmm.
Uh Extensive couple things that we did with like I did some shows with Order of the Static Temple, Rob Robinson's band, and Matthew Matthew Spence is in it as well. He's the guitar player for it. But we did a couple of those shows together as on the road, and Cyanotic and Conformco I think are my two most toured groups that I've went with. So
Excellent, excellent. And we should mention too, to tie it even closer together with everybody. You've done some work with Worm too, in recent years,
yeah.
and that whole family out there.
Oh gosh, they're the best. They are the best. And the best part about being with a group, as you know, that is that close and family like, is you just feel like you're a part of the family right when you walk in with everybody, and nothing's ever like a pushy moment with any of those guys. And that because they had to bring me in to play drums with them good couple times, and there's been those things where it's like, whoop, mess that up, whatever, mess that up, and you got like Eric over in the corner like, that sucked. I'm just joking, it was great. Eric, I mean, come on, Eric McWhorter, the best. Mike, always always a smile on the guy's face, and just sheer happiness. I mean, like, how do you not be happy around people that are that happy, and for
Right.
good reason? And then Roger, Roger's also in Worm, and Michael Rose and all the guys. They're a one hell of a group to work with as well.
Yeah, yeah. I've always had great times. I wish for more, and I'm sure I'll have more in
Yeah.
the future. Now
Oh
that
man, you got to get back here.
I know the whole pandemic screwed everything up, you know.
Yeah.
I know Roger and I were going to go to London to play with Martin again,
Yep.
Martin King, and that got all cocked up. So,
Yeah.
but now that things are a little bit easier to navigate, and you know, the whole world's going to be on tour this year or playing festivals. Have you seen some of these lineups?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Outstandingly crazy. But I'm actually going to try and go and see some of those shows this year. Haven't done that in a while, where I actually just went to a show instead of just playing them. Oh man. But
I'm
no, I mean,
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at this list here to make sure we didn't miss anything. Oh, um, you are also playing in uh and I apologize, Jesse. I may be mispronouncing the name. Um And I don't want to spoil anything. The initials are DC. Is that cool to get into?
Oh no, that's perfect too. Be doing some shows this summer with Derision Cult,
Okay, perfect.
one of our glitch mode recordings artists. Brad Houston, myself, and Sean Payne are going to be going out on the road with them for a little bit this year. With the band, as the band and everything. Really cool guitar driven group. I love this so much because Brad Houston, excellent guitar player. Um, then I finally met Dave, and I just couldn't believe to hear somebody playing a guitar that wasn't like just like some like Slayer metal type deal. He was like picking and doing some stuff, and I'm like, this is so weird to hear this because like I get into things like this, like oh Metallica kind of playing right now, and I'm like, wait, do that again, and everybody else is oh like what's going on? But I love the fact that it's got so much guitar in it, so much guitar, so fun. Which that also has we have Chris Conley that does a couple of the songs in that with as well. So that's definitely a fun little additive factor. And Reese Filber plays guitar on a couple of the tracks as well. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
one.
pretty cool group. I got uh, to be invited to be in, and I've enjoyed it ever since. The guy likes to make really cool music videos. I should throw out too for like a ton of the songs. And keep your eyes out because there's gonna be a pretty cool one coming out here sometime soon.
Excellent. Um, my list of artists that you sent me got a bit miscombobulated. That's why I'm asking, like, can we talk about this one? Can we talk about that one? There is one on the list here, and I don't know if it's supposed to be pronounced letter by letter or as a name. Um, Unst?
Oh, Order of the Static Temple.
That's what that is. Okay.
They're off of that's the Rob Robertson group with Matthew Seth and myself and Nina. They are on Negative Game Productions.
Fantastic. Um, have we missed any that we can talk about that we're at liberty to discuss?
There's only one that I am like, besides doing the stuff with like Cyanotic and everything, and producing with that. I'm working very hard on a very heavy drum influenced group with another individual that I have practically has been like my role model and idol since the beginning of the time for me for the music making and everything. So I get to do a one-on-one project with this gentleman out of California. And I won't say any names yet. Maybe some people might understand what I say when I say California, but but yeah, I mean, other than that one, and I don't know, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun drummer. But any of the other groups, and I'm sorry, like I gave you like 700 fans, and then a little after I sent it to you, I'm like, oh, I forgot like six of them, and it's like, yeah, it's so everybody that I played with in time, you're noted. I'm here, and I'm saying I did it for you.
Yeah, they know. They know. One of the challenges of doing these videos is, I'm very fortunate to have great guests on who have vast histories, and it can either be, you know, a 20-minute interview or a 4-hour interview, So I got to find somewhere in the middle to like,
Where's that breaking ground for it? Yeah.
yeah. But you always have great stuff going on, and you've had a great past, and I'm really excited for you, man. I'm thrilled about the KMFDM tour. Um, when this video goes up, I'll put a link to those dates in the video description so people can get the dates to where that tour. Again, it's KMFDM. Cyanotic is opening the tour. You guys are playing a ton of different places, so there'll be plenty of chances for people to come out and see you and you know, of course, see KMFDM and all the other acts on the tour as well. What you get information on via the links. But it's an exciting time to connect, man. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad your daughter's doing well, and of course, mom, you know, is doing well. And, you know, we got through it, man. We got through the fucking pandemic. You know.
Did it. That's wonderful.
You know, now we can get on with our lives and make a bunch of noise with oil drums and otherwise.
And whatever else I got going on laying around.
Absolutely, man. So, like I said, I'll put information up for Cyanotic. I'll put information up for the KMFDM tour. With so many bands and artists that you're involved in, um, you know, it'll probably be difficult to kind of link everybody up there.
Yeah.
But is there kind of a like a general place to where people can follow what you're up to that's public facing that might be able to include?
They can always go to Hent Hawk at Facebook, and they can also, if anybody's looking, because this is where you can get the most information at a time, would be at glitchmoderecordings.com or Facebook.
Perfect, perfect. I'll make sure that stuff is up there and people can check out one of the myriad projects you're doing and
Right?
you know, check out your playing and you know, keep an eye out for the things still to come. I know by the time this video posts, which may actually be not terribly long from now, it's probably gonna be 4 other projects you've signed on to. So you never
Right?
really.
Oh, wait, I have this. I forgot about it. Yeah, no.
Oh yeah,
I'm
it's
trying. I'm trying to hone in on a couple bands, and still be able to give out time with people, but like, help, please. I'm only one person. Like,
well, you know, it's I saw a meme not too long ago. It's something to the effect of, you know, there's like 50 bands in Chicago, but it's the same 5 people.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's always kind of been like that out there with Wax
yeah,
Tracks.
totally, 100%.
Yeah. Again, it's like, you're cool. Let's do a record. It's that easy, guys. You guys want to make a record out there in the world? Move to Chicago and hang out there for a couple weeks. You'll end up on like 10 albums.
Exactly.
It's totally easy.
At least, at least.
Right on, man. Well, listen, I'm glad we did this.
Me too.
It's been too long. Let's not wait another pandemic until we, you know, get to do this again.
Definitely. Anytime, brother. I'm always here.
Same. And of course, I'll be seeing you hopefully in a couple weeks in Boston on the KMFDM tour.
Wow. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it is. Man. It is. Safe travels out there on the road. Be careful. Have fun. And you know, much love to mom and the baby. Well, not so much the baby anymore, but you know, mine's 22. He's still a baby to me. So
Still a baby.
that's right. All right, my buddy.
Thank you so much, Joel.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother.